Monica Kretschmer. I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Woman of Inspiration, and this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast. This is a special series, the first one for the Support Her series. And today I have two guests on our Woman of Inspiration podcast. With me is Anna Hilberry. She is the Wealth Management Advisor, Portfolio Manager at National Bank. Also with us is Jonathan Durocher, who is the president of National Bank Financial Wealth Management. And I first want to start off by saying, and I know that we talked about this in the green room, but this is a game-changing conversation. Jonathan, it is such a pleasure to have you join us today to have this conversation with Anna, because we are going to be changing the landscape for how men and women work together. And so, Jonathan, I know that Anna has put you down as one of her support hers on the team within the National Bank. But where I'd love to start off the conversation today is, Jonathan, give us a little bit of background. You're in a executive role within the National Bank. Maybe just give us a little glimpse on your career path.
Sure, I'd be glad to, and thank you so much for inviting both of us. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to spend some time talking about very important subjects. So, on myself, I won't bore the audience with a lot of details, but I've essentially been born and raised inside of the National Bank Financial Wealth Management environment. I came in here, I was 22. I'm now 42, so it's been 20 years. Skateboarded to work early on in my career. Now I actually don't use my skateboard as much, and played a bunch of different roles inside of the organization. I dealt with compliance, wealth management, business development, and throughout my career, I had the chance to work with people that, just like Anna, are with me for the long haul, are with us with the long haul. So it's an industry where you really fall in love with the people. It's a people business, and that's what's really been gearing me towards my career at National Bank Financial Wealth Management.
And so, Jonathan, I am going to just, add a couple things here. You manage over 1,800 employees and over 860 investment advisors. And Anna being one of those individuals that you've made an impact in. Anna, you and I have talked many times before about the role that our allies play. And so maybe you can jump in and just share a little bit about the role that Jonathan has played in your career within National Bank.
Yeah. So, well, he's obviously just been incredible. And here's why. The superpower of Jonathan, well, first of all, he's a very humble guy. But number two, he notices everybody. That is his superpower. So, he wasn't even head of the division that I'm at. He was head of National Bank Investments previously. And I was trying to get into this sort of, online media thing. So I started doing videos. I was trying to, find my identity as an advisor, as a female in a male dominated industry. So I decided to start doing videos. And I think it was maybe the fifth one that I put out. It wasn't very good, but I was trying really hard. And I got this message from this guy named Jonathan Durocher. Holy heck, he's president of National Bank Investments. And he's like, hey, great job. That was an awesome video. I think you should keep going. So that it was hugely instrumental to me. When you're first trying something new, you feel nervous, you're not sure if it's going to work, and to have somebody of that level come in and just be a supporter of you was incredible. And he had really great tips that he gave me that I could use to improve upon what I was doing. And the thing about Jonathan is he didn't just do that for me. I can see him doing that for everybody. So, for example, there's an advisor in Victoria. She's just starting her, sort of online path, posting about wealth management so that she can be a better partner to her clients. And, she's got like 2 likes, and one of them is from Jonathan. Great job. So taking the time when you're in a senior position as a leader, that for that focused small amount of time to really notice somebody, it can be life changing for that individual. So that's why he's amazing. And I could go on.
So, Jonathan, I guess my question to you is, within that 20 years plus that you've been with the company, what sort of changes have you seen? Have you seen it evolve where, your leadership is making such an impact or in the things that you're doing to notice people, to be seen and valued?
Well, it's a great question. So yeah, things have changed. Our wealth advisor are in the um, dream quantification business, to really help people reach their life goals and have a positive impact in their life. So what I've seen changing throughout the process is, we went from, movies in the 90s about Boiler Room, and more recently, like The Wolf of Wall Street. Now, these movies tend to Hollywood movies, they attract attention about our industry, but our industry is nothing like that. And throughout the years, Anna, myself, and many other wealth advisors are really truly showing what we're doing, what we care for, and also the positive impact that helping people with life events and questions around money is something where it's way more meaningful than picking a stock, like you can see in a movie. And so we're changing the conversation, all of us together. It's not just an NBF thing. While it's really important here, it's also an industry thing. Like, we want to make sure industry reflects what we're really doing. And I always like to talk about, that Maslow pyramid you saw in school. At the bottom of it, there's a sense of security. That's what people are looking for. And that's a big role of what our advisors do. And so we're changing the conversations. We're adding an emotional component to the money question. And I always like to think that money is a very emotional subject. And so all of us are trying to play our part in seeing an evolution from the stockbroker in the 90s to a wealth coach who really helps their investors get to their life goals, which is a big shift. And true that there's been lots of changes from demographics to also, of course, the need to have even more wealth advisors that are female or from different cultural backgrounds. That's really, really important if you want to make sure you connect on emotional subject such as money.
And so why is it, Jonathan, so important for you to be a support her champion for women in your industry and to really be visible, like you're, having these conversations today? Why is that so important to you personally?
Well, I always feel that we're in a compounding business, and every little gesture you do, every little thing you do, at first doesn't really look like it's big, but I think through time and through the compounding effect, such as being in a podcast like this, being involved in different activities linked to initiatives such as yours, we help create something bigger and bigger, and more people, getting pushed towards it. So that's my big piece of motivation. Secondly, is I also think that there's a business opportunity in there. It truly is, and there's also something for clients and investors to have better representation. Is not a nice to have; it's a must have. You want to be able to connect with these people. And quite frankly, today in school, it's still, wealth management is still something that's not really taught in a lot of university courses. So it's up to us to make a positive impact, not just for the business, but also for investors and for the community, which is really important for me.
And so, when Anna was sharing her story, Jonathan, about the gestures that, and you talked about just the little things that you're doing, did you have any idea that it was actually making that much of an impact in somebody's world by you reaching out, liking, or reaching out to Anna to give her encouragement when you still, I think you started your YouTube in 2020, Anna, and I think Jonathan was one of the first people that reached out to you when you started it. So did you know, was that intentional, or was that just part of your leadership?
Well, it's a mixed bag. I think Anna has the grit to keep pushing, even though there's challenges on everything. And so, same thing when you start, a financial literacy YouTube channel. That's probably not the first thing people are going to try to look at when you go on YouTube, right? You want to find the funny videos, you want to find sport events or something you want to, a topic you normally like, and financial literacy doesn't always come on top. So Anna had the grit and the desire to keep pushing, which is a huge motivator for myself, and also has been a big motivator for many other wealth advisors that followed Anna's footsteps. And it's something also that we're seeing with I have a lot of we have a young women mentorship program here at National. Where people actually look up to videos or to other women advisors in NBF that publish content such as Anna. So I didn't have an idea that would have this impact. I'm of course happy to hear it, but I could definitely see the compounding effect it had through time, where there's already another generation looking up to Anna, and that's something I didn't envision, but I'm truly grateful to be seeing today.
And so, Anna, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've seen happen within National Bank that you're proud of. And we've talked about that in your podcast. But maybe for the listeners today, you can share a little bit about some of the programs and initiatives that National Bank is doing to support women.
Yeah, so on a personal level, I've literally been in this industry since I was a kid because both my parents were in the industry. I saw my mother struggle to become an IA, the role that I have. She had to fight for it. That was, decades ago. Fast forward to me coming into the industry, uh, having a conversation 6 weeks after coming back from having a cesarean and delivering, my child, having to come back to work because there was no maternity program, having a conversation with the leadership of National Bank Financial saying, "Hey, like, did you know this is the experience?" And they're like, "You know what? We're going to listen to your needs and we're going to develop our own one of a kind maternity program first in, the financial industry and wealth management." And like Jonathan was saying, that ripple effect, it's like dropping a boulder in a pond. It just impact all the other companies around, and they developed their own maternity programs or they stepped up the ones that they had. So yeah, it's just been an incredible shift. And Jonathan's really been at the forefront of that, and National Bank has taken a leadership role there. I think their CEO said he came out not to do a presentation. By the way, there's 30,000 employees for National Bank. So he came out to Vancouver and he gave a presentation, and it was really just answering questions. And one of the things he said was at the forefront, one of his goals was to make sure that we have, equal representation of women. And National Bank has in their executive body, the executive roles, they're over half women. So not only do they talk the talk, but they walk the walk, and the proof is in the pudding. So I've seen a huge shift. Like it's astronomical. It's like riding a big, freighter ship to go the other way. Is we're fully full steam ahead in the right direction, and we're actively seeking, to get more young women into the role that I have, which is still 75% men. So it's just been an astronomical shift.
And John, is there any like goals or big numbers that you're looking to achieve by, say, like a 2030 target, or do you have any set goals for raising that female quota? Hate to say
We
quota, but
do. Yeah, no,
raising.
target or whatever we want to call it, but we do. We actually have targets where myself and the rest of the team are evaluated on. But while I'm not minimizing the targets, it's the tangible gestures, as Anna mentioned, that makes the bigger difference. And one of the things that's we believe unique to us is we have a young women mentorship program, as I mentioned. It's a partnership between National Bank Financial Wealth Management and over 40 universities across the country. And every year we take a cohort of about 20 young women that are currently in their studies and studying, and they're curious about the world of personal finance. And we connect them with mentors such as Anna or such as other wealth advisors that are women. And we've been doing that since 2015. It's under Tana Diorio's leadership. And it's an amazing program where every year we have 20 more young women interested per cohort, interested about the world of personal finance and helping people with their life goals. And so these are things we actually measure. Can we actually just execute? Make sure it's done and not just put a target or a quota for a quota. So every single year, by compounding the Young Women Mentorship Program, by having a maternity leave program, or even by what we do, we have a women's symposium where we gather all the women advisors together so they could talk about business development. These gestures, I also like to measure them as well, because that generates a higher percentage of women and also of interest in sort of our business, which quite frankly still needs to put a lot of work into making sure we have fair representation.
I love hearing about the programs, and I can definitely see that ripple effect of how that will continue to grow. I guess what I'd love to talk about is, welcoming men to that conversation, right? Just like yourself, Jonathan, coming to the table, just like your CEO. How important is it for men to be involved into that conversation, involved into the decision making of, bringing these women into the industry?
Well, so the obvious answer is it's extremely important, but to go past the obvious answer, the beauty also is the main motivation is threefold. You want to make sure you're motivated by the representation and positive impact in your community, which we find in there. You want to make sure you're motivated by helping clients, which, by the way, clients want to be treated with somebody that they, all things being equal, like and care for. And sometimes that's going to be another woman that had the same experience as them. And so that's also a very important client angle. And finally, there's also a business angle to it. So it's important to bring men into conversation because really all the pillars are there. And quite frankly, as the generations, push and there's new generations coming into different leadership role, it's not a debate for my counterparts, my colleagues here. Everybody wants to make sure we have fair representation. So I want to fight the stigma of thinking that it's a battle or a fight or something. It's not. While there's still lots of work to be done, the other men in my role and the other folks I work at NBF and I'd say generally across the industry are forward-thinking people that understand the benefits of the three pillars I just mentioned. So the conversation is getting easier and easier, but there's still lots and lots to do.
And so, Anna, what sort of initiatives do you think that we can do to encourage more men to be part of that conversation to champion for women?
Well, I think, all the things that we're doing here at National Bank Financial are obviously, things that I think we're sort of inspiring other companies around us because we have been leaders in this space, and it does make us, better at what we do. And when you have full representation, you can add better value to their clients. Just as Jonathan was saying, so for example, Steve and I, we're a man and a woman partnership. He's my father. We bring different things to the table. It's subtle, but it's different. So I think for leaders, sometimes maybe, you know, they might be worried about what to say or what to do. I think just being having the genuine uh, desire to help people and just doing the little things that, like Jonathan's been such a great example of what to do. It's atomic habits, right? 1% increase everywhere makes a huge shift, right? So that kind of idea where you just start doing something, and something is better than nothing, and just having that genuine connection with your as a leader with your people, your colleagues and your employees and people around you, having that genuine connection and taking that little bit of time to have the authentic connection and say, hey, great job, keep going, and develop similar programs to welcome women into the industry. It's going to take time. I think we talked about this before, Monica, to shift things, but we're definitely going in the right direction, and being verbally voicing it is also really key. When you're a leader, like what you do matters, but what you say matters a lot because people listen to you. So you also have to verbalize it.
And there is a stat here that I'd like to share, and I know that I've shared it before, but the CPHR had a study, and it was, talking about that senior leadership role and how important it is for implementing strategies like EDI or advancement of women. 82% when you have your senior leadership actually involved and visible. So it's conversations like we're having today where we have our senior leaders visible, having these conversations about why it's so important. It does make a difference, and that ripple does expand. And the other stat, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's probably even higher, but it also increases the culture by 82%. So tell me a little bit about that culture within NBF. Jonathan, I'll get you to go first.
Sure. Well, the way the culture is built here, and it's been like that for decades, is we have a really flat org chart and a very proximity-based relationship. I've been here already 20 years. I'd like to think I'm still fairly young, depending who's listening to the podcast. And has been in there for also many, many, many years. And we're
Or
all
the same.
yeah, exactly. So we're all a group of young people, but that's already been 20 years in the business. So I think that's a big edge on the culture. It's a culture of proximity. It's also a culture of understanding the power of diversification of thoughts. And again, I'm going back to my three pillars here, but if you got a good diversification of thoughts, it's good for the community, it's good for the business, and it's good for the clients, because you don't think, everybody doesn't think alike. And there's differences, there's nuances. And just like a good investment portfolio should be diversified, I also think that a good culture should have different diversification aspects to it. That's what makes a good culture. So proximity, longevity, truly knowing the people, being close to it, and then making sure you have a diversified point of view are, tend to be key things that define our culture pretty well. And it's all about the humans and the people. And that's really important to culture that's based on longevity such as ours.
And Anna, I'm going to get you to touch on the culture at NBF as well. From your perspective, you've been with NBF for several years as well. So maybe you can share a little bit about your experience.
The culture at National Bank is truly unique. It's just so open and friendly, and they listen to our needs, listening to your employees' needs. And when you feel heard, like I'm here, Jonathan is here with me. I work in Duncan, like the west coast of Canada, small rural town, but my voice is heard in this company. And a company that has 30,000 employees. It's crazy. And so when I feel happy and everybody else around me feels happy because you're heard and you're valued, you can do a better job for your clients. And you get new ideas because you're open to sharing new thoughts and ways of doing things. And again, you can add more value for your clients. So it benefits everybody. The employees are happy, the clients are happy, everybody's happy. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful culture at National Bank.
Well, from my perspective, what I can see is this is game changing. This conversation right here is game changing. And it's leveling the playing field. And so when you talk about your culture being, flat, I mean, this is really a true representation of just that. So I just want to say, super excited to be able to chat with you both today. I would like to, touch on, you are leaders in the industry, but what can we do, or what words of advice, Jonathan first and then Anna, what can we do to encourage more leaders to take that step forward? Because I've always said there's three buckets. There's the ones that get it and understand it and are leading with it, the ones that understand it, but they're really not sure how to participate, and the ones that actually, they're never going to change their mindset, right? So we focus on the top two. So Jonathan, how are we going to bring more leaders to the table to be allies?
Yeah, a few thoughts on this. I think, in life, I always like to think that the best story wins. And so there's a really good story around this. And I think as people get vested and invested themselves and making sure we have more diversity, I think they'll have stories, they'll relate to it, and they'll be able to connect. And so, forums like the one we're having right now and different forums we could have through different media outlets helps us put the story out there. And I think is going to create a ripple effect of more people being interested in telling their own stories. And I think that's really, really important to have just a bigger impact over there. And maybe secondly is also preparing the next generation. So we mentioned our programs, but it's something that every generation is going to come with their own perspective on it. And already Gen Zers are coming in with a different perspectives than ours and us than boomers and et cetera, et cetera. So I think being mindful about making sure that you yourself as a leader decide to say, I'm going to do this for more than me. I'm going to do this for myself, yes, but also for my colleagues and for the next generation. These are all these little things. So tangibly speaking, taking care of the next generation that's following you, and also making sure that you're able to tell stories about how this helped you will get more people motivated. And maybe lastly, the people that are either I wouldn't say more reluctant, but people that don't are not as engaged. They always need to look at their direct, sometimes family members or their direct experiences and situations to get involved. So you don't always need to be on a podcast to make a difference. It's a great opportunity you're giving us, but sometimes it's just helping in your local community or school to just have an impact. And sometimes it doesn't need to be these grandiose things that, like what we're having today, that are necessarily required to move the needle. And we could bring it to a smaller scale so we could actually have everybody chipping in.
Beautiful. And, I couldn't agree more. We started an International Support Her Day, the first Friday in June, with that intention, saying that everybody plays a role to support her. Just one action makes a big difference, right? And that could be carried out by any person in a workplace, a community, or a network. So I couldn't agree with you more. And what about yourself, Anna?
Well, I couldn't really say it any better than Jonathan. So the people that are already doing it are already doing it, and yes, don't be afraid to make those personal connections. Those are what make the impact, because people are people, and having that personal connection with somebody that just 5 minutes of your time can make a world of a difference. And for the people that really just aren't sure, be like Nike and just do it. Just get out there and just start. It doesn't have to be, like Jonathan said, it doesn't have to be grandiose. Just do something. Just put one foot in front of the other, and pretty soon you've climbed a mountain.
Uh, well said, Anna. And if I could just add something in there, um, the Young Women Mentorship Program we launched
Mhm.
is, I'd like to say that while the mentees are having a lot of fun and feel fulfilled by the experience, our mentors, who are also wealth advisors and different leaders at national, are also super excited about the experience. And I'd encourage anybody listening here to think about whatever industry they're in, to think about mentorship programs for the next generation. It's fulfilling for both parties, and I'd really recommend more people doing this to increase that scope. And mentoring could be done, yes, with women, but could also be done with men, and helping young women get into the business. So I think that's another tangible thing I'd recommend people take into consideration.
Yeah, and I just will add to that. So one of the surprising things for me, because obviously I'm a mentor, is you are exposed to these really incredible, bright people, and they have good ideas. And so I actually come away, they teach me just as much as I teach them. They make me a better advisor. So it has a surprising, like you think, I'm old, I know everything, baby, try to, but then you get this amazing, bright, person. It's like, oh, why don't you try it this way? They got these fresh minds. They're thinking outside the box. So it's really beneficial for everybody.
Beautiful. And so, as we wrap up this conversation today, is there any other initiatives or any big news you want to share with us today about some of the what might be on the horizon for National Bank that you want to share with us? I heard you had a new position being filled.
Yeah, we just had a new president of one of the divisions of the wealth management divisions. They just named a new female president. Um, yeah, it's very exciting.
It is, and so we in our field, especially in the world of finance, there's we need more representation in leaderships at all level, and we're really lucky that our head of wealth management is a woman named Nancy Paquet, and she's leading the charge for all of us, which is great news. And the funny thing also is we've seen a lot of these mentees becoming wealth advisors in our world, and so we're seeing the impact at every level of the organization and every type of role in the organization. So for us, if we could summarize it in a way, it's about that. And I love the atomic habit example that Anna gave. It's about compounding. And anybody listening to this, at first you don't see a big difference. In the atomic habit, they give the example that if you're sitting on a plane and the plane just pivots 1 degree to the east, and you're still
Right.
sitting on a plane, you won't notice a difference. But after 6 hours of being on a plane, you're in a totally different place because you left and you had a 1% degree angle. And so same thing for, I think, our quest here. It's about these little daily changes or tweaks or time you give to people. That true time will compound and have an amazing impact.
Mm. And I couldn't agree more. And I just want to say that this is I'm excited to see the ripple effect that's going to happen as a result of having these conversations. And like I said, they're not being had, and it's really due time to start having them, to invite men and women together to have these conversations where we're working together towards a common goal. So I'd really like to say thank you so much, Anna, for joining us, and Jonathan, for you joining us today. And for the listeners, how could they find out more about your mentorship program or, careers that you might have? Where would you direct them to?
Yeah, well, on our NBF wealthmanagement.ca website, there's a section called careers, and in there's a young women mentorship program. There's all the information over there, and there's Tanya Diorio, who leads the program, who's simply amazing, who could help them out. So if there's a young woman listening to this, curious about the world of personal finance, they could definitely go in there. And also, I'd invite any woman who's also curious about finding somebody who's totally awesome to help them with their wealth management, to connect with the folks at NBF Wealth Management across Canada. And of course, in Duncan, there's Anna Hilberry, who's simply amazing.
And Anna, what would you like to add, if anything? I know that you have a great YouTube channel. Jonathan, you do as well. And you both are leading in that area of wealth management, on YouTube. So how can they find you on YouTube?
Yeah, you look up Anna Hilberry. I'm all over the internet. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube. Yeah, and if anyone ever has any questions, I talk to students across the country and internationally, all over the world. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, if you have any questions, send me a message. I'm happy to chat and talk about career and wealth management. Yeah, just reach out.
And Jonathan, how can they find you on YouTube? Is it just as simple as your
Uh,
name?
yeah, well, actually, they could find me on LinkedIn mostly. That's where the most of my content is, and our content is. Sorry, so on LinkedIn, Jonathan Durocher. I'm in there, and of course, the NBF content is on the NBF Wealth Management website as well.
Fantastic. And before I wrap up, I also want to say congratulations, Anna. You're one of the Woman of Inspiration Awards finalists for this year. So I just want to say thank you so much for your leadership and really leading the way and paving the road for other women by sharing your story, sharing your career path and your journey, and actually bringing Jonathan to the table to have these conversations. It is really inspiring, and I'm just excited for the journey ahead. So thank you both for joining us on the Woman of Inspiration podcast. This was the Support Her series, the first of many more to come. Thank you so much to both of you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.